Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends across the multiverse of madness. My name is Jesse, aka Mr. J. Most would call me Dinjarin, but not tonight. Not tonight. I am joined here tonight by the other two-thirds of this chaotic pubcast. We got Ryan and Z Diggity. I hope you fellas are doing okay. As you can tell, we have our helmets on. I can't hear anything right now. They can. So I'm going to take my helmet off and put my headset back on because it's hot in here.
I can't hear shit.
Anywho, hope you guys like that segment. By the way, any of the guys who are watching on video can guess all three helmets. One of them is very easy. You guys will get a prize. Probably. Maybe just a shout out. Anyways, Ryan, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, man.
Cool.
Sorry, I have like 3 layers of Z I need to put on.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh fuck, they're gonna see me without a hat. It's gonna break character.
Oh man, we now know that you have a top of a head, Ryan.
There is hair up there.
Z, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Just glad the work week's over, and
Same.
it was super busy, and it was just a busy week for me.
I am with you on that 100%. Ryan, what you been up to this week?
Man, it was actually besides having a cold all week, so apologies in advance if I'm a little sniffly on this one. It's 0. It was actually a pretty fun week. Earlier in the week, me and you, Jay, we decided out of nowhere to have a Lego night.
Yeah.
We put together Legos in Discord. I put together this fancy Millennium Falcon here, and I think you put together the Mario cube.
Yeah, it's back there.
Which was really cool and intricate. It came all apart. And then towards the later half of the week, we ironically decided to install Fortnite and give it a shot.
Ironically or unironically?
With the no build. I did it ironically at first because you were like, should we play Fortnite? And I was like, I mean, I'll install it. We can play it. And dude, I've been playing straight for like 48 hours. I'm addicted. And like my family's gonna have an intervention. It's bad.
Like, great. We
Fortnite gotcha.
It's really fun.
Another
it's really
child
fun. I feel bad about talking so much shit about it on our third episode of our podcast. It's been pretty fun.
Would you say that we have to redact a whole bunch of things?
No, because at the time, no build was not available.
Oh, that's right. Because I remember we hated.
Is that true?
Well, I personally hated the building feature, but that's me.
Whether it is or not, let's assume it was.
Yeah. Sorry. We play Fortnite. We're a Fortnite podcast now. That's all we play. That's all we are.
We are going to talk exclusively about Fortnite. Z,
Tune in for next week's episode of The Floss and its origins.
I was going to say, I realized I just kind of spoke for me and you, Jay, on our week. Did you do anything besides what I just said?
We did the same thing this week, I feel. I don't think we did anything different. We built Legos on Discord.
We're actually Siamese twins. We just have 2 cameras that are appropriately placed.
You do some amazing lighting to separate you two.
He's right there. You guys just can't see him.
Man, me being the furthest one away, I mean, I don't get to do the fun trips and the fun Lego nights. It has nothing to do with it. I literally had to be a human being. I had to be a real human being and spend time with my lovely wife and that. So
us non-human beings would never understand such things.
From Clapthar 7, the GURP blogs, whatever the. So no, my week was uneventful. It was pretty uneventful. Just worked a bunch. I played some games, Lost Ark, but I watched the Lego nights in envy. I was there in spirit. I was there on mobile Discord watching. So.
Like, look at them hanging out and having fun without me.
Giving the puppy dog eye look. Like I literally give her the puppy dog eyes to like hang out, and she's like, "Go."
Yes.
Which reminds me, when this recording comes out next week, we're going to be doing another live Lego session. We're going to go get some more Legos, do it live for all of our patrons. You can come join us and put together Legos with us. If you got some Legos you want to do, we'll all just chat and
All
hang
right,
out.
I'm buying some Legos
joke
next
around.
week, and I guess I'm doing this. So,
Well, 2 weeks for you, a week for the people listening.
Oh,
two.
2 weeks. Okay, I see what you're going. Okay,
Time.
well, I forgot I have to transport myself to May the day right before May the 4th, 2 days before May the 4th. Edit the one that makes sense. Okay, so
You got it.
Z, you got any news?
Yeah, I actually, so I like usually I kind of present my news like from what I heard throughout the week, but I actually looked this one up because it's recent and it's on theme of our episode. New Star Wars animated anthology series will be announced at the Star Wars Celebration. It's going to be called Tales of the Jedi, and it's I to be straight up, I'm not going to bullshit any of the audience on this. I have not heard of anything on this until now. So
I mean, neither have I.
Sounds cool. I wonder if it's going to be more like Visions-esque or if it's going to be like Clone Wars Rebels-esque.
it's sequel series.
Hopefully it's not like Resistance.
I'll read the small paragraph on it. Tales of the Jedi is coming to the heels of fellow series of animated shorts, Star Wars Visions, which is premiered on Disney Plus last September. This series saw some of the most recognizable anime studios take a swing at short stories within the galaxy. The animated outings from Star Wars have been a high point of the series last decade, like but it just talks about the other stuff. I don't know anything. It has not been announced. The premiere date has not been announced, and I don't know anything of the synopsis or the story of it.
Cool.
So
Sounds like we'll find out more soon.
we'll do an entire episode
Nope.
about it, probably.
Ryan, you got any news this week?
I do. It's unfortunately not on theme with Star Wars. But we just heard that 2K, or sorry, Take Two, who owns 2K, Rockstar, all kinds of stuff. They just announced a whole bunch of new games, or at least we get a little bit more of a view into all their games that are in development. They got some cool stuff. I mean, some of it's already been announced, stuff like Grand Theft Auto 6, a new Bioshock game coming out, Bioshock 4, as well as some other cool stuff. So check that out. There's a whole list of 40. I'm not going to go through like all of them, but there's some really cool games coming out by Take Two over the next 3 years or so.
That's interesting. So that means Bioshock Infinite is officially Bioshock 3?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Well, my bit of news isn't really like, it's just like one thing that's not even that much exciting. Okay, I had two things of news. The first one being the one you guys already know, probably, I think. Not multiverse, so Quantum Mania and the Marvel Switch swapping release dates. So now we're gonna get Quantum Mania earlier than the Marvels.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is really cool to me. I'm more excited. I'm way more excited for Quantum Mania than the Marvels.
Yeah. I want to see more of help me,
Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors, yeah,
that's
Kang,
dude.
So them moving that up, just like that was the best part of today. Was hearing that. Such a good character.
He's so
man.
good.
I've been a horrible Marvel person. I am now 2 episodes behind Moon Knight.
Ooh. No, this
I have
last
been a bad
one,
Marvel. You may as well kick me out of the fucking.
I think so. Can you even be a chaotic if you don't know Marvel like that? Come on.
Nah, it's fine. I hadn't made it past episode 1 until this week, and I just caught up like 2 days ago. So the latest episode was really, really good.
Oh yeah, it was. Oscar Isaac needs an Oscar. Funny because that's his name. He needs an Oscar. Or whatever. he needs an award for him and Ethan Hawke have just been like amazing in Moon Knight.
It's a cool take. We don't have to dive too far into it. It's just refreshing to see like a show that's not totally tied into MCU. Like it's into you, but like every other thing, like whether it's been Falcon and Winter Soldier or it's been the Hawkeye series or WandaVision, like it's all been tied into the larger MCU. And this kind of I know it's gonna eventually tie in, but right now it's kind of a standalone thing, and it's just
It's
gonna be
kinda-
really cool to see that.
And you know the crazier part is it's like it's about Moon Knight and it hasn't even really been about Moon Knight.
Nope,
If
just
you
been
like
about
think
mental
about
health.
it's just been mental health. Yeah, it's insane. It's just
I'm
insane
always
to me.
down.
We'll save this for the
I'm
Moon Knight
always
episode.
down. Yeah, we'll save for the Moon Knight
I was
episode.
about
But
to
I'm
I was
always
about to
down
spiral
for
down.
yeah. If content has mental health and like theming to it, like I'm always in.
I'll talk about why Jessica. That's why I love Jessica Jones also. But anyways,
Yeah,
my other bit of news, the last one, just real quick. So the Super Mario movie got delayed to 2023. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
No.
No, woo, anything but that. I don't know, dude. I think they just wanted to be the #1 video game movie of the year, and then you Sonic too, kind of.
I think Chris Pratt's gonna do a good job. Everybody needs to pump the brakes. You know, wait till they see the movie. Yeah. Hot take from Z.
I'm reserving judgment until then. So
Gotcha.
yeah, that's just how I feel. Like, yeah, I'll watch it. I'm gonna watch the movie. I'll
I got
like
burned
it
once
too.
with. I got burned once with the Heath Ledger Joker by being one of the guys who said he's gonna suck, and then right when that movie, The Dark Knight, comes out, I'm like, well, foot and mouth.
Yep.
So I never judge anything until I see the movie.
Well, that's why it like kind of like angers, because I mean I don't know if we've talked about it here or off camera or whatever, but I mean I loved Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man ever since The Amazing Spider-Man, and everybody hated him, and now everybody loves him, and it's like, okay, dude, whatever. I loved him before he was cool.
You're being a total hipster
Yup.
right now, man.
Yup.
One of us, man.
So we got a lot of stuff coming up in this week and next week, right? Or next week. This week being the week that this episode releases. Well, by the time these people are listening, they're gonna hi future me, hi future you guys. We have the Moon Knight finale, right, coming up, which is pretty cool. I know we just finished talking about Moon Knight, but the finale will be this week. Got Multiverse of Madness a day later. Oh boy. And then guess what happens couple like 2 weeks later?
Kenobi.
Well, hello there. Hello there. Yes, we get the Kenobi series.
Have you noticed the shields are still up?
yes, we do get the Kenobi series. And
I love you, Ewan. I love you, Daddy Ewan.
And I am excited for the series. I feel like I have to rush and finish watching Clone Wars and Bad Batch and Rebels because I am way behind, and I know these live action shows have been referencing the cartoon series so much, and I hate that I can't catch it. So what do you guys think? Should I just take the next 2 weeks to like binge the shit out of all of it?
Even if Kenobi wasn't coming out for like another 2 years and you just asked me that question, should I take the next 2 weeks and binge watch Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and Rebels? I would have said yes.
So regardless,
that's a hard yes, man.
Okay,
hard yes, yeah. Like and I would definitely finish Clone Wars first.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's where most of the references are going to be. I would definitely go to Rebels probably next.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bad Batch, I'm guilty as charged. I haven't finished Bad Batch yet, but I know. They do some references.
Yeah,
Okay.
they
Like,
kind of
right-
reference both ways in Bad Batch. So that
They
I would watch them in the order they came out. So like he said, Clone Wars, then Rebels, then Bad Batch.
So yeah, that brings us to the meat and bones, or meat and potatoes, meat and.
You guys really
I don't
like
know.
meat and potatoes, man.
I don't know. Well, what if you're vegan? What if you're vegan? Tofu,
potatoes.
tofu, and potatoes. If you're vegan,
Tempeh. It's delicious.
chicken and rice. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways,
The meat and cheese to my Lunchables. What?
Hey, what's this episode about?
the Luke to my Leia. Oh wait. All right, this episode.
The Qui-Gon to my Kenobi. That's what the episode's about.
Hey, yeah. Or Anakin to my Kenobi.
Ooh. From my point of view.
Hey, how long is it? 10 minutes now? We've been going on with this.
Nope, 15.
So
Right now.
it's going to be. We're going to talk about They're going to talk about some wild Kenobi theories that they think could happen, or would like to happen, or could happen. This episode, we are excited to watch the episode, the show. Even though I'm very, very lacking in knowledge compared to these two guys. I'm so excited to watch it. So, kick it off, Ryan. What's some of your wild theories?
Um, I don't know. I haven't wanted to theorize too much. I kind of want to go in with a sense of wonder. But there's definitely things I would like to see. I think everyone's big one, of course, being, are we gonna see Darth Maul at some point? Obviously, like, he didn't know that Kenobi was on Tatooine, but my thought is the first few episodes of Kenobi, he's not even going to be on Tatooine yet. I think he's still going to be. It's going to be about stuff that happened between Order 66 and Tatooine. That's my personal theory. But I also think we know just from the trailers or the teasers, he's going to leave Tatooine at least at some point, unless those points that we saw came from what I was just talking about, and it's before he got there. But I think they'd be. I mean, that's his like arch nemesis, right? Oh, besides his former Padawan, like,
Spoilers, man.
uh,
I wouldn't know.
I don't know. I think it'd be cool if we saw some of the characters from Rebels thrown in, if we saw Hera, if we learned something about Kanan. Um, I think they'd be remiss if they stuck. I mean, we just saw what they did in Boba Fett, where the whole series was a Boba Fett, but we saw the Mandalorian go to a different planet the whole episode. Like, you know what I mean? So I think they.
I really hope we get another Mandalorian episode in the series.
I think we'd be remiss, or I think they'd be remiss if they just stuck to like Kenobi walking around a desert for 6 to 8 episodes, hour long. So I think it'd be cool if we saw some other characters thrown in the mix that we weren't expecting.
I don't really have like any mega theories, but there are some things that I actually really want. There's a scene in the Star Wars comics, because Kenobi actually didn't realize. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you want to read the comics, haven't read the comics, but uh, there's one comic book that's my favorite, like Obi-Wan Kenobi scene in the comic book. But for the longest time, Kenobi didn't know that Anakin became Darth Vader. In fact, the Emperor kept that under wraps, and he was just introduced as his enforcer, and only a very few like people like knew that Anakin Skywalker was Darth Vader. I'm talking like maybe 3 or 4
Yeah,
people,
maybe
and so
less. Like,
maybe less. And people who did find out, they got killed or died.
Wow.
actually,
But
I think 4 is the number.
might be
Exactly.
4. Yeah,
Wow.
I know Tarkin figured it out.
Oh, then 5.
Then 5. Yeah, I know Tarkin
Because
figured it out.
Thrawn, the
But
Emperor, Ahsoka, and Ben.
Thrawn figured it out. Yeah, Thrawn figured it out because they did a mission together, and he put 2 and 2
Yeah.
together on just, and same with Tarkin. But so Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't know that Anakin became Darth Vader, and he's sitting into the cantina, that very same cantina that he was
So, real
into in
quick,
Tatooine. Yeah, go for it.
so he knew Darth Vader existed, but he didn't know that was Anakin, essentially.
If I remember the comic, didn't even lay eyes on Vader yet.
So he
So
didn't
like
even
Vader
know.
wasn't well known.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when the Emperor announced, like, basically did like an infomercial or commercial and said like, "This is Vader."
Yeah.
So Kenobi was in the cantina at a bar, and he's sitting there just watching, and then on the holocron shows Darth Vader, like it shows a picture of Darth Vader in a very like propaganda poster looking thing, and then instantly there's a panel where Kenobi, like, he drops his drink and he instantly knows it's Anakin.
Wow.
I really, 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 really want that
That would
scene
be awesome.
That
to
would be
be in
cool.
there.
That would be really cool.
Like he goes through like all of his, like in the comic, all of his PTSD comes in, and as somebody who severely has PTSD myself, like I said, anything with mental health issues in it, I really want to see Kenobi like deal with his PTSD.
Yeah.
Like I really want to see it.
We should have a mental health
Yeah,
episode one day.
because he was really. I mean,
Mhm.
he was already very strained from the Clone Wars, in particular, even before even before he learned Anakin and fully turned to the dark side. Like, it just stretched him thin, and that was finally like what really broke him to the whole Jedi Order and Jedi Code. That it was just such a flawed organization, and
Yeah.
way of life. So I do think we're going to see a lot of that in the series, of him just struggling with, like, we were just so blind the entire time, as the Jedi Order.
Yeah, and the thing with it is, we all know that Star Wars isn't perfect when it comes to the plot holes and everything. And I've said on record before, I'm tired of them making a bad movie and then fixing it with series. However, Star Wars, this, since it's taken place between old movies, this gets an exception. um, because there are some lines in A New Hope that, like, Vader says, Kenobi says, that are just confusing now that we have all the expanded universe and everything. So I really want to see how clever they get with fixing things, because we all know that Rogue One changed A New Hope in the way we perceive
Right.
it. I really think that this series is going to answer a few questions, change a few things, and close those actuallys plot holes.
That
So
that reminded me of the ending of The Force Unleashed, when technically that's how the rebellion got started, because of Star Killer, right? In the game.
yeah,
And
that was Luke's original name. It used to be Luke Scott Starkiller,
really, I did not know that.
Yeah.
and then
In development.
in development, in the script, in the first draft of the
Oh,
script.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fun fact to know. A fun little trivia. So that's actually pretty cool. Like, so they did that. They did, I guess, the and that's what it reminded me of. The back, I guess, back then the games weren't canon, right? Whenever
No,
the Force
yeah,
Unleashed came out,
very not canon, because Starkiller is like the most OP of
God.
OP
You
Force
can
cool would it
pull a
be?
Star Destroyer from the sky with the
Yeah.
But how
Force.
cool would it be if he was canon though? Like, I would love that to be a thing.
They would have to nuke him to hell on, like, they would have to really scale him
Yeah, I
down
guess he
a
is
bit.
too off. He's too OP, I guess. Man, I guess we'll settle for Cal Kestis. Sorry.
Well, Ryan mentioned that, like, to see bring in other characters. I really want to see Ezra on screen. I really want Ezra Bridger on screen. He's the Rebels protagonist, by the way, Jay. If you haven't
Okay.
watched any of Rebels,
I
I
haven't
really
seen it.
want to see Cal Kestis.
That's actually what I was
in
gonna
live
say.
action.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I was
when
like, I would
would
really like
Ezra
to.
line up with this? Because
He would be older. He'd be probably be in his late 40s.
oh wow,
Yeah,
yeah,
early, like late 30s, 40s ish. Cal Kestis would be interesting because the voice actor for Cal Kestis also did the mocap for it.
Yeah, he's like, he looks just
So,
like him, right?
He's
Like,
the,
he looks.
he's the Joker from Gotham. He's the brother in what's the show? Shameless. Sorry.
Yeah, his name is Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah,
and he looks just
yeah,
like
he's a
Cal
great
Kestis.
actor. I'd love to see. I mean, yeah, it's him. Like, he is Cal Kestis. So
Yeah.
like, he could, obviously he'd be the one to play him.
And then they showed that picture not too long ago of him, like, introducing his lightsaber in what is it called? That store in Disneyland in is it in Florida? Oh fuck, I forget
Universal Studios,
Galaxy's
Florida.
Edge.
Galaxy Edge. Thank you. Yes, like they introduced,
Yeah.
they showed that picture of him, like, introducing her, like he was holding the lightsaber in Galaxy's Edge. So I would love for it. I would love to see him. It's because, like Ryan said, I think
Yeah.
on our last Star Wars episode, that he is canon, right? Like, Cal Kestis will be coming out.
Yeah, all the current games are canon.
They are
Until they decide
canon,
they're
but
not.
yeah, I'm standing by my statement from the last Star Wars episode. I do not trust how long they will be canon.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think that they're gonna really try to stick to it, because they know how much backlash they got by turning all these stories into legends and making stuff not canon anymore to make their own timeline, and I don't think they want to go down that rabbit hole again. So I really think they're gonna try to stick to it this time.
well, Filoni just uses legends as his anti-writer's block. He's
I
like,
mean,
can't think of anything. Well, let's go to
well,
legends.
I mean, why wouldn't
know?
you?
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, everything that we've got has drawn inspiration from legends, if not almost plagiarized legends.
So,
And
but
I
I
love
really
that.
want them to make.
They cherry pick the good parts, but I mean, you have to. I mean, there's really good stuff in there, but you couldn't just say like Disney couldn't go back and be like, this book's canon, this one's not. This book's canon, this one's not. Right? Like they had to just put it down a blanket and say, all right, this stuff's legends, alternate universe. This stuff is what happens now. Otherwise, you would have had a moon crashing down and killing Chewbacca and like all this other crazy shit, man. Like it's just
Luke goes to the dark side, gets cloned. Palpatine clones like 7 times.
Well,
Jaden Solo, Jason Solo.
Palpatine cloning himself is canon.
Oh fuck!
Is it true?
Shit! They had to pull that from there.
Well, Snoke was a clone. He wasn't a clone
Oh,
of
yeah.
Palpatine technically, but they were back growing Snokes.
Did I
The comic
repress this
rumors. Yeah, the comic rumors are really cool because in one of the comics, like on Exegol in that lab, you find Luke, like which is canon. The Emperor is in possession of Luke's severed hand, and there's theories that
What?
he used it to like create Snoke and everything floating everywhere. Yeah, it's interesting. The comics are dope. The Vader comic series, you need to read the Vader comic series, and
Aren't they by Marvel?
He made it into a back scratcher.
Yeah, they're all canon, and I would
Marvel.
Yeah.
They're
Interesting.
they're published by Marvel, but yeah, they're canon.
Just like a good time to talk about Marvel.
All right, we'll do a Marvel episode soon.
Never.
No, I'm kidding. Nope.
That's gonna be the meme.
Yep. When we talk about Marvel, we'll never do a Marvel episode. Anyways, so Ryan, any other crazy theories or thoughts or predictions or stuff you want to see?
I would like to see more of young Luke. You know, is he a little asshole, rebellious child? Because
he's a
because
Skywalker.
he becomes a little angsty teenager. Like we see that in the movies. Like
his
so
father.
it'd be cool to see him as a kid and see if he does some rebellious stuff. If he tries to run away and escape, and Kenobi has to go hunt him down or some shit. Like, I think that'd be really interesting.
I'm personally.
He starts finding.
Go for it, Jay. Go for it, Jay.
His parents or something.
Yeah, I'm personally excited to see more of the. And God, I can't even remember the name of them. The guys with the lightsabers,
the Inquisitors.
Thank you, the Inquisitors.
Those are called Jedi and the Sith.
Unfortunately, they're neither of the two.
Sadly, they're the tryhards. The Inquisitors are not officially Sith.
Really? Are they just like Sith trainees or what?
I always thought of them as, you know how like vampires in movies have familiars. You know, I always kind of view them not necessarily the same, but kind of that status. They are force sensitive and force users, but they are not Sith lords because that would violate the rule of 2, and B, Emperor and Vader kept that shit on lockdown. You know, they're not in the
So he never wanted them to be Sith. He never wanted them to think of themselves as powerful as what a Sith could be, just because he wanted to keep them in their place. Yeah.
Oh, so can they be called Sith Inquisitors?
I mean, they weren't. Ezra beat them, right? And like Ezra just learned how to use a lightsaber.
So they can't be called Sith Inquisitors, then, right?
They can be called Sith Inquisitors.
They're not Sith Lords.
They can be. They're not Sith Lords. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's who I'm excited to see more of, and I would really like to see more.
Still kind of a stinky thing. Like I don't know how I feel about Sith Inquisitors,
but I would like to see more of them, especially because they also were introduced in the Jedi Fallen Order game, or I guess I don't know which one came first. I think Clone Wars came first, right? But they get explored a little bit more in the game, and I would like to see maybe some of those stories to be explored in like Kenobi. So we can. I want to see tie-ins. I guess that's the only thing I would see, tie-ins between Jedi Fallen Order and Kenobi. I would love to see a Kenobi. But anyways,
you gotta watch Rebels, man. You get a whole bunch of Inquisitor shit.
I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it.
I remember the first time I watched Rebels, and they pulled out their little double spinny blade, and that shit started rotating, and I was just like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. What the hell? And then they pulled like a Tails from Sonic and made that shit spin and like helicoptered away like Mary Poppins. And I was like,
I'm Mary Poppins, yo.
How can they make light propel? Never mind.
that was almost embarrassing. Like that was almost the point where I was like, oh, I don't know about this Rebels. But since then, I've started to like buy into it. I'm like, not the whole flying thing. That's still weird. But
it's okay because Chopper makes up for the entire series.
My head canon is that they were just using like the Force to like boost themselves upwards, and they were just spinning for effect.
So I mean, it's funny you say that, Z, because you're like, how can you make light propel? But technically, I don't have my glasses on, so if a lightsaber were real, it would need a stopping point, right? Like they would just keep going if that were true, because it is just light, right? Light just travels, and I'm just saying.
But how does spinning
what did that have to
light
do with propelling?
That it doesn't make sense. That it doesn't make sense. That's what I'm trying to get at. That it doesn't make sense.
There is a limiter in the saber hilts that makes the sabers stop. Just so you know,
the guy from No More Heroes. I think that he has the lightsaber. What would look like in real life.
Yeah.
Anyways,
and Vader wields an adjustable saber that gets longer and shorter. That's how they justified why his saber was different lengths.
So they just started. They're like, "Hey, let's I know we fucked up, but let's fix it somehow. Let's make it canon."
Star Wars, man.
Anyways, we're at the 32 point mark. You guys want to take a little break before we get to Z's theories?
I think we're gonna go into a little bit more of Kenobi himself and some of the stuff that isn't covered, in the main films. That might give us a little bit more background into his character before we see the new series.
Yeah, Kenobi's my favorite Jedi / favorite Star Wars character.
My favorite dog.
So I have a lot to say about him.
About it. Yep. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a break. Take care.
Totally real.
BRB.
Bro, May the 4th is here. You know what that means?
Oh, hell yeah. Which one should we watch first? How about episode 3? I am the Senate.
No. Let's go with the OG episode. Episode 4. These are not the droids you're looking for.
If we're gonna watch the OG, let's do Empire. Luke, I am your father.
Actually, the real line is, no, I am your father. Any true Star Wars fan knows that.
Oh, hey Marvin.
I can't believe you can't even get the most iconic line right. You're an embarrassment. You're trash.
Marvin, it was a simple mistake. We love Star Wars just as much as any...
I have spoken.
Man, I see it time and time again. Are you a fan of a certain franchise but are surrounded by a bunch of gatekeeping tools that ruin your opportunity to, I don't know, have fun? Well, I have a tried and true system that'll get those toxic fans off your back so you can get back to what actually matters. Enjoying your content. The system is simple and can be executed in 3 easy steps. Step 1. It's easy. Simply hold up your dominant hand. Step 2. Curl your fingers into your palm to make what is commonly known as a fist. Step 3. Punch them in the ear. Punching them in the ear is tried and true and has limitless applications. Try it on any topic that you're interested in and just want to enjoy. Elden Ring.
Bruh, you should have rolled into that boss. I can't believe you...
Anime.
Isekais are complete trash, and here's why.
Crypto Bros.
Bro, you won't believe how much money I've made by... Oh, my fucking ear!
Don't have fandom fear. Punch them in the ear.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, robots and humans across the galaxy. Hope you guys enjoyed the word from our absolutely, inconceivably, totally real sponsors.
They seem pretty cool.
Say something generically nice about them.
Their product works. It really works.
I tried it myself.
I'm personally out of line, so I can't say anything.
I called that 1-800 number for the board game or for our bathwater, and it's not what you think it is.
So Z, I know I let Ryan
Yo.
talk on the first half. Tell me, what do you have to say about Kenobi? I heard you have some wild stories, or about some wild knowledge about his wild stories.
No, I got some Kenobi knowledge. So first off, as a kid, Obi-Wan was my favorite character. Was my favorite character in Star Wars, followed closely by Han Solo. I always found Luke to be a bit annoying, but no, Kenobi is definitely up there. But my real love for him didn't come until the prequels, until I saw, and this is something I really loved about it. And then, yes, I will say this: this is more Ewan McGregor's role than McGregor's role than it is Alec Guinness's now. The one thing I definitely just love, and this is part of the reason I love Batman and Superman and their relationship, is the differences between Anakin and Kenobi. And it really shines in the prequel. And I really want them to touch up on that in Kenobi. Because one thing you could see in the initial duel with Anakin and Obi-Wan is clearly they have different styles. Clearly they've fought each other before and trained with each other. But one thing about the different styles is Kenobi has more experience. He's more defensive. Anakin's more offensive. And that's going to segue me into Kenobi. Kenobi is kind of like a symbol for me personally. This is how it resonated with me personally. I was never like a naturally talented person in anything I did. Everything that I can do now, I've had to work my ass off to get good at. And that's part of the reason I identified so much with him, is because in all of the Kenobi's literature, Obi-Wan Kenobi's literature and lore and character, he was basically an all-around average Jedi for a good chunk of his. He wasn't the most powerful. He wasn't the most he didn't have like the most notoriety until the end of the Clone Wars. But if there's one thing he was good at, he was good at being essentially a Jedi. He was just good at being a Jedi.
The model Jedi.
Exactly. And so when he first started, he adapted Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber style. It didn't work for him. I'm paraphrasing all this, by the way. He moved on to Sarisu, which is basically the defensive lightsaber. It's Form 1. I believe it's Form 1. It's
Demon Slayer?
the defensive lightsaber style. Sarisu? That's a
Form
lightsaber
1?
form.
Oh.
Yeah. No, Sarisu is Form 3. Okay. But no, it's all defensive. But he eventually became a master of Sarisu all through hard work. And I just love the idea of how Anakin was the naturally gifted one who caught up to him pretty damn quick, but Obi-Wan had all this experience, and through trial and error, he was just he had so much character to him. And I want to see them really go into depth with that relationship if there's a rematch with that. So that's kind of like my opening statement with the second half on that.
And you know what's cool is he was kind of a little bit of an angsty teenager, young adult Padawan as well, under Qui-Gon. Like even though he was like the by the book, stick to the code, which Qui-Gon was not. Like he really got testy at times. There's a part I clearly remember
like that word.
What
testy.
When Qui-Gon was being potentially selected to be a Jedi Master on the Council, and Obi-Wan thought that he was just being abandoned by Qui-Gon. He was going to be like almost like an orphan Padawan and be sent off to another master, and he thought that's why Qui-Gon hadn't been teaching him and everything, and just had him reading like ancient texts and stuff instead of training him in the ways of lightsaber and all these different forms and stuff. And he like went down to the Padawan training room and was just like in like ragely like practicing different forms and stuff. And he was just like, I just hope whoever else sees me and notices how good I am and like actually wants to be my master, wants to teach me stuff. And like Qui-Gon came in and he like snapped at him and everything, man. Like, and it's just so funny because that's Anakin years later to Obi-Wan, and you can see it in Obi-Wan. Like once you learn that kind of stuff, you see it portrayed by Obi-Wan, and he's like, oh, I know where he's coming from. And he's like, I can't be that mad at him, but like
I mean, Anakin, essentially didn't need a friend or a brother. Like that line, "You were my brother." He needed a father figure
Yeah.
more than anything, and
Yeah.
Qui-Gon would have been that. Like all of this would have been 100%. All of that, the Skywalker saga would have been 100% avoided if Qui-Gon was the master, and I stand by that.
Yeah,
But
and even Qui-Gon, like Qui-Gon was like widely known as like the master who was like always like trotting the line of like he could go to the dark side as easily as Count Dooku if he just let himself, like because he didn't follow the Jedi Order's codes. He followed what he believed was the right thing most of the time. I mean, like for good. Like he really
Mhm.
stood by like his own moral code, which for the most part was better than the Jedi Orders,
I have a
and that's
question
how
about
flawed
that.
the Jedi Order was.
I don't know if you guys have heard of, or if this is even canon, the Gray Jedi thing.
Yeah.
It is
So
Ahsoka's one.
would you say,
Yep.
Ahsoka's one? Okay.
Yeah, she
So
walks the
I'm
gray
I'm
path.
personally a fan of that, right? Like they're neither Sith or they're neither Sith nor Jedi. They're just like they're kind of like Qui-Gon in a way, right? They just do what the right thing is, or I guess do the right thing their way in a way. Does
Mhm.
that make sense? Is that would that
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sense or no? Or what?
It 100%. Yeah, it 100% makes sense. And I am all about the Gray Jedi. I honestly think the Jedi Order is dogmatic.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Very much so.
they put themselves in the mess that they were put in because of that. They avoided the dark side instead of like actually not embracing it, but like they avoided it 100%, like this big taboo thing. And I think that's why a lot of Jedi fell. Um, I think there's 21 Jedi Masters or Jedi that have fallen. The missing 21, no, the missing 7, and then there's 21. I can't remember what the exact number was on books, but
But you
God, I
just
lost my fucking
like
Yeah,
you
train of
and
just
thought.
not
get
and
told
not only
something is so
not
bad,
only
right?
not only why those Jedi fell, but also why the Order wasn't able to see the rising of the dark side right in front of them is because they just closed it off completely. Didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to think about it or anything. But no, and your comment about Grey Jedi, and why you can appreciate that. I think
I do. I really do.
I think even Obi-Wan, and like I said previously, Obi-Wan was the the perfect Jedi, and as someone said in one of the articles I read or one of the videos I watched or whatever over all the years, um, perfection did not, or being the ideal Jedi did not equal perfection, right? Because the Jedi were not perfect. It was the
Mm.
ideal for the Jedi Order, which was a very flawed organization, as we just talked about. And I think after what happened with Order 66, with the Empire taking over, with Anakin turning to the dark side, with so many things that he went through, with his master being killed, and then him having to flee, and everything he known being shattered. I think he would probably agree with you. I don't know if he'd ever come out and say it, but I think
Right.
he probably is really recognizes at this point that the Jedi Order was flawed, and he can see why some like Ahsoka would have taken the path they did.
I think he is a character that is consistently at war with himself.
Yeah.
Um, which is another reason why I always identified with him, because every person who is a person has principles, and and a code that they fought. Like everybody has a code, whether they say they have a code or not. And then you take that code, especially a code like the Jedi Order's code that has been drilled into your head, and then you go through personal experiences. Like Kenobi had a love interest. Spoiler alert.
I did know about that. I watched
Yeah,
something on that.
yeah, and he but he is so loyal to the Jedi Order. He forgot that, but he forgone that. But he went on record in the Clone Wars saying, like, had you said the word, I would have left the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
You know, I think he is very much a character that is driven by passion and just doing what's right. But I think that he really runs into issues when it comes to. I think he is loyal. I think he's loyal to a fault.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with, and I think Anakin was loyal to even more of a fault.
Yeah.
You know. because Kenobi would make the proper decisions despite him feeling these feelings and everything. Like
for the most part.
For the most part, like, well, like at the, I don't want to, because Jay, you haven't finished Clone Wars yet, so I don't want to spoil this, but he does have a bit of a line where the Ahsoka needs help from them, and then he denies it because it's not the right thing to do. He was a lot more practical, but Anakin was so loyal to Ahsoka, and so that he jeopardized a whole bunch of shit.
I think I have seen examples of that, and I don't know if this is the one you're talking about, but I mean, as much as I've watched already of it, I have seen that happen a lot where Anakin's like, no, we're not gonna ditch Ahsoka, even though Obi-Wan's like, no, like that's like be patient or whatever. Anakin's just like, nope, let's go.
Ahsoka or R2 or
R2, a fucking droid.
dude, Anakin would let a fucking world be destroyed to save R2.
Yeah. And even in Revenge of the Sith, his fate will be the same as ours, you know.
You see him up there, R2? You see him up there?
Yeah.
I see him save that fucking droid.
But yeah, like you said, he let himself experience these feelings, and he just never gave himself over to them. Like we obviously know through Clone Wars and other literature that as a 17-year-old Padawan, he went to Mandalore with Qui-Gon and met young Satine, and fell in love with her. But then, and I actually didn't know this because it was in Legends, and I didn't read a whole lot of Legends books, but there was another love interest, Siri Tachi, who was also a Jedi, Padawan the same time as him. Then she became a master close to same time as him, and they were love interests. And then she was killed. She died the same year that he found Camino in the Clone Army. So he was dealing with some like deep mental trauma from that. Whenever all that was going on, right at the beginning of the Clone Wars, and that actually got made canon, kind of, because there was a short story or something that was made later in the canon. It was in 2020, and the author brought that up, and so now apparently that's canon again. So he had this other Jedi lover.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Me either.
I can tell you, Tachi was first mentioned, and There Is Always Another, a short story written by Mackenzie Lee and published in the 2020 anthology book From a Certain Point of View, The Empire Strikes Back. Lee was inspired to include a mention to Tachi due to being a fan of the Jedi Apprentice series where it was first mentioned.
Gotcha. One thing that was kind of popped in my head that I wanted to talk about is, and this might be me projecting my thoughts on this in every way, but I've always been like, we live in a world where everybody claims like you have to be the best at everything, you have to do this to be everything, you have to. And to go back to what you said about like it's not about being the perfect Jedi, like being perfect because the Jedi Order isn't perfect. Being the strongest or the most powerful doesn't necessarily mean you're the strongest and most powerful. I would like to think that Obi-Wan Kenobi was superior to Anakin as not just a Jedi, but as a person and in strength because he had the emotional fortitude to pick himself up. I think there's a lot of real life comparisons there, mainly because I just went through kind of a traumatic experience myself recently, and it was a number one goal of mine to whatever happens with this experience, I do not want to come out a toxic person. I do not want to come out jaded. I do not want to come out of this this way. And I think it takes an incredibly strong person. And I know we're talking about a fictional character here, but I think that's why he's so well written.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons he's so well written, because he had the fortitude. He wasn't the most powerful Jedi, but at the same time, he was a fucking powerful Jedi to resist
any temptations.
Those emotional. He could have fallen to the dark side so many times.
Mm-hmm. It definitely takes a strong-minded will to fall into temptations.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just in general. Right? This is general psychology, but yeah.
General, yeah, and yeah. You weren't you a psychology major?
Yeah, okay? I am.
Yeah, so you know the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to theorize too much of what's going to happen in Kenobi because I think it'll really kind of date the episode in a way, but I do want. But if I were to say one thing, I think it's going to be really cool and interesting to see him go through this struggle especially because I know I'm saying I identify with him a lot because I do. This is why he's my favorite character. Like, lost a really good friend, brother, and everything, and I've been through similar experiences. I want to see that so I can literally be like, I'm like Obi-Wan. We're the same, and I want that to happen, you know.
It's insane just how much canon literature is out there for Kenobi that that the films, the shows haven't even dived in yet. We see so much about prior to episode one, whether it be in the Master and Apprentice novel, whether it be in a couple of the comics, including the Qui-Gon Jinn and Age of Republic. We learn a lot about him as an adolescent that really kind of opens your eyes to like who he is as a person. Even though he obviously matures, he changes in a lot of ways to become this model Jedi, before he's somewhat broken at the end of the Clone Wars, and now what we're about to see in the Kenobi film. And there's just so much untapped timeline still with all that literature that they have room to fill with events. And I'm personally just really excited to see what they do with this show. And I think it's going to be very interesting if they lean less into like all these action somatic sequences fighting against inquisitors and stuff, and more about just who he is as a person now and what he's going through.
Did they go whole Moon Knight take on it? Did they just explore his mind and like what he's going through?
Or an Iron Man 3.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Marvel.
By the way, just real quick, while you were saying your were you just explaining what you were?
You were gonna say Marvel.
I understood your T-shirt finally. I had a big moment, and I just stayed really quiet about it, and I just really wanted to be like, "Holy shit! I finally got your T-shirt."
Joe got this for me. Joe got this for me at Alcon this year.
Oh, that's fucking cool. I was like, what the fuck is May Das be with you?
That's what Z said.
I read
too.
it. I read it as in elite speak too. So it's like, yeah, it's
May D4s be
for those on audio. It's may the D4S be with you, and it has a D4 die on it. But it's I read it. I didn't see the dice at first, and I thought it was may the DOS be with you.
I was like, may the DOS. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You guys are good.
Like I see the D4, and I was like, what is the S supposed to be?
Give me a Star Wars episode and still throw in some tabletop.
God.
Oh, my bad. Sidetracked.
No, you're good, man. The Alec Guinness really took that role and made a really good stepping stone for Ewan McGregor to take the lead on it. And I saw it in theaters and everything. And at first I was like, when I first saw young Obi-Wan Kenobi, like I didn't know who Ewan McGregor was. I was a kid. First thing was like, I got "You're Not My Dad" syndrome.
You didn't see Train Spotting when you were a kid?
No. Although I saw Point Break when I was a kid. Oh God. To touch on that literature stuff, would you say that I know in retrospect these authors wrote them after the cinema and everything. Would you say that these authors really captured the like I'm trying to put this into words. What happened to Kenobi in his adolescent age? Did it translate to who he was as an adult?
Absolutely.
Well,
100%. Because in one thing that really stuck out to me was, Jedi, in this age, prior to the Empire, in this Republic era, where every time someone had a baby, they would have a blood test done. They would find midichlorian, and they would come scoop them up almost immediately, like as an infant. So, and then they were raised in the Jedi Temple until their teenage years when they were made a Padawan. They weren't taken out on missions until like almost the end of their teenage years. And so all they know is Coruscant. All they know outside of just studies, right? All they know is Coruscant. All they know is the Jedi Temple and that way of life. And so one of the first missions that Obi-Wan Kenobi goes on with Qui-Gon, they go to this remote planet that's being like blockaded and they're being bombarded and stuff. And he's like they don't have like any kind of shielding. All this planet had was like shielding against like solar flares. And he was like, what kind of planet doesn't have shielding against like ballistics or any kind of bombardments or anything like that? And he was like, and that's when Qui-Gon was like, oh shit, like it's sometimes I got to remember like Padawans have only ever known Coruscant. They don't know the conditions that other people live in.
Yeah.
And so that was a really unique perspective, not unique, sorry, very ununique perspective for Padawans. So Jedi like basically brought up not knowing anything about the outside world and then expected to go be the peacekeepers of this outside world.
Yeah. And you actually see that in a lot of the comics. Anakin got a lot of shit from those other Padawans because he was A, older, and B, he was just an outsider. Did you have any, like, because Ryan, you did a huge deep dive recently. Did you have any, because I'm curious, you didn't research anything about the fight with Black Chrysanthemum, did you?
No, I mean, I'll be honest, after you told me about it, I went and like looked at it a little bit because that seemed really cool. But
was.
Yeah, go into it because we just learned. I mean, for a lot of people, including myself, because I wasn't super familiar, but we really just saw Black Chrysanthemum for the first time in Book of Boba Fett. He's the large black Wookiee that you see in that show.
Oh yeah, he was in the comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Him and Boba Fett have worked together in the past. So when I saw him on screen, I was like, please show some sort of relationship between these guys. And they kind of, if
Very
you can
loosely.
translate it,
Yeah.
you can translate it because when he like says to him, "Don't work for so and so's," and he
Yeah.
run like I could see a little bit of recognition there. But they were sent on a job from Jabba together to track down who killed or a bunch of some shipment was happening. I think Obi-Wan interjected. It's been a long time since I read this comic, but ended up that Black Chrysanthemum ends up finding Kenobi, and Lars Owen is there is in the fight too.
What?
Yeah, like so like he captures Lars and then
Owen.
Kenobi shows up in really good fashion and fights him, tries not to use his lightsaber because if he ignites it and people sees it, then he's fucked.
Yeah.
And long story short, he ends up igniting it at one point and cutting Chrysanthemum, and that's why Chrysanthemum has that scar in Book of Boba Fett.
Okay.
So I really, really want them to do that Chrysanthemum fight.
Yeah, they showed the. I mean, that would be pretty cool since they already introduced him in Book of Boba Fett, right?
They've already established him as a character. There's no reason why they wouldn't.
All right, cool. So, I feel like I learned. I mean, even since the last episode, the last Star Wars episode, I was like, man, I just take a backseat on these y'all. Whoever's listening, like they know a lot more about Star Wars than I do, and I kind of just take a backseat and ask the questions and just intake the information.
You're our Padawan right now.
Dude, I'm still an apprentice.
Yeah.
Which one's lower?
We haven't even got. You're a youngling right now. Master Skywalker.
I still got my little braid. So I just
that's Padawan braid. You don't get that till you're Padawan. You're just a youngling right now.
Yes, sir. So I just take a backseat on these. I have a lot of fun with these anyways, because I do enjoy learning about Star Wars. I am never aware really of how much lore there is. Like we haven't even dove in. I don't even think in the last episode we really dove into like Knights of the Old Republic, right? Like none of the Old Republic stuff.
Mm-mm.
So that would be fun to tackle another time.
Yeah, it would. I think we've been mostly trying to stay canon, but I would like to dive into more non-canon stuff, especially because I think like Disney kind of has an obligation to us at this point to start doing some stuff in the Old Republic, right? It's a fan favorite.
Yeah, you listening, Mouse? You listening?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Jay.
My stream just dies.
So I think it's kind of an obligation. So it would be cool to kind of go into some of that at some point for sure. And once again, games don't even touch on it, right? Like there's so many books. there's like I have
Mhm.
I have just like the Revan audiobook, and it's broken out into like 4 parts or something. Like it's giant.
Yeah, it's nuts.
At least we know that they're getting some attentions with the remake of Knights of the Old Republic, right? So that's some silver lining. Hopefully we do get
Mhm.
some more exploration on that. So I mean that would be really cool to listen to and talk about in another episode. Any final thoughts from you guys? Either of you guys?
Yeah. Like I kind of wanted to end my final thought with kind of my general theme and what I was trying to get across in the episode is like again, I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. I identify 100% with him. Primary reason because I'm somebody who personally had to work his ass off to get where I'm at. I was never naturally talented at everything. If you work, I just want to say like Kenobi's a great character, and if you work a bit harder than anybody else, you can get to an amazing levels. Everybody, to end this on a fucking wholesome
Look
note.
at this
So
guy.
just because you're not naturally talented doesn't mean you can't be fucking awesome at it.
But
So work your ass
but
off,
all your
guys.
lovers will die, and anyone you train will turn against you.
Don't make any close friends. Don't do that. You're damned for a life of solitude
and you'll
and pain.
you'll eventually end up in a cave before getting struck down with a lightsaber and becoming a ghost.
and then Ryan.
You'll be incredibly clever, funny, but ultimately
but
alone.
lonely the rest of your life.
And somewhat a ginger.
You would attract a lot of people, but lose them all at the same time.
Yeah, but
That's
no,
cool.
I'm sorry.
Keep trying. Don't get discouraged, folks. No, it's fine. Fucker. Just kidding.
Were those your final thoughts, Ryan?
Nick, and anything that Z said, the opposite.
My final thoughts are when we first saw Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original trilogy, he was like the ideal to us of what the old Jedi Order was, right? He was like there were no other Jedi, so we thought, except for him, and that is what the old Jedi was. And now then we got the prequels, and we learned that he was kind of the exception to the rule, and he learned a lot from his experience there to be something more. And so I think we can continue to see him evolve in future media, like the new Kenobi show coming up. So that's why I don't want to theorize too much on what happens, because I think it is a very broad window of what they can do. And I hope they do it right. And I actually have no doubt that they will. I think it's going to be great. But if I was going to throw a crazy theory out there, I think the main bad guy in the series is going to be Mephisto.
My Eric Voss senses are tingling.
No, seriously though, you get a final thought?
No, but do I have any final thoughts? I'm excited. I mean, honestly, I'm just generally excited to see to watch this Kenobi show. Probably will actually dive into or finishing, or sorry, I will commit to finishing the Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch shows because I was enjoying them. It's just commitment issues, I guess.
I'll watch them with you if you want.
I'm like halfway through season 2, so I think I'm almost done with season 2 actually. So I'm not that far.
You're
away,
in for a hell of a ride, man. You're in for a hell of a ride.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I will dive into that. Besides that, no, I mean, talking Star Wars is fun, or listening to Star Wars is always fun.
Do you see the smile on my face? Like if we're talking Star Wars, I am just consistently happy. Like I'm never sad if I'm talking Star Wars.
Speaking of which, obviously we only get to do this for 45 minutes to an hour. This right here is just scratching the surface on the history of Kenobi thus far that we have in our hands. That's canon. It's like 15 pages or so of cliff notes, right? Of just like here's a paragraph or two about everything he's appeared in, and it doesn't even scratch the surface. We didn't even scratch the surface of that, right? So there's so much more that we get into. Obviously, if there's so many cool facts out there. If you have some cool facts about Obi-Wan Kenobi, or if you have a cool theory about what you want to see in the show or what you think might pop up, hit us up on our socials.
Please do. With that, I think we're off. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking Multiverse of Madness. By the time you record the next episode, all three of us would have watched it. Full spoiler warning in advance, as it will contain lots of spoilers. Find us, at Chaotic Pubcast on Twitter and Instagram, and I think that is our Patreon handle as well. We are planning to release more Patreon content right now. We are doing. Did you say it in the beginning? Right, we're doing the Lego building for Patreons, or is that just generally?
Yep, no, it's going to be live for patrons as well as some of our friends in Discord. You come hang out with us, build Legos with us. If you don't have a Lego, that's fine. You come chat with us. Just hop on our Patreon. Like I said, there's a $2 option. And then for those of you that aren't able to make that commitment right now, we'll be uploading a VOD of it a couple weeks down the road. It's going to be a fun time. And don't forget, man. Star Wars Day. That's this week. Happy early Star Wars Day.
Happy early May the 4th
be with you.
And don't let the Revenge of the 5th get you guys. And with that, we're signing off, ladies and gentlemen, across the galaxy. My name is Mr. J, or Jesse, whichever one you know me by. Ryan Z.
The Force will be with you always.
This is not the podcast you're looking for.
Move along. Move along.